Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Automation Hub Sarthak, and this will be the last multiple object extraction video as far as the English part is concerned. I've already put this one for the Hindi part. I was just trying to explain how we will bypass the pre-extraction of web elements before we actually induce the for loop by using you know, a diversification of the Xpath. That is what we intend to do. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to explain what exactly is going to happen. So I'm just going to open bbc.com and you see the links: home, news, sport, real, work, life, travel, and all culture. And when you click on this hamburger button, there is TV, weather, and sounds. Typically, I know there are 11 links, and out of this, these three are hidden. But Selenium doesn't know it yet. So what I'm trying to do is I will not extract these web elements in advance. Rather, I will deduce a certain different way to actually handle this situation. So I'm not going to write a brand new code. Um, Typically, I'll just copy the previous code in which I had extracted the web elements and everything. The only difference is I will just make a new class. It's like part 5. I don't want to give any further names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy almost everything, copy it, and I'm just going to write it and save it. So the only difference that will happen is the XPath which I found out in this particular case, I'm going to utilize this, okay? But I'm not going to pre-extract the web elements like this. So first and foremost, I will comment both these lines. Part number 1 is done. Now the second part which I need to do is I'm going to use this particular XPath and I will divide it into multiple XPaths. So you very well know that this particular XPath actually, okay, so let me click on this home link. And if you see, if I right click, copy the XPath, and I will just open a new notepad. This is the XPath, right? Similarly, I go to culture, inspect, I copy the XPath for this. So typically the indexing of li keeps on increasing. We know that there are 11 links, we have coded much, so for this we are aware of it. So I'm just going to hard code something. This is not the best example, but this is what I'm going to do. The only thing which I'm going to do right now is I'm not going to use this XPath in a typical fashion. I'm just remove the indexing and I'll keep it like this. Okay, I'll use this particular XPath, which is nothing but this XPath only. So the only difference is I'm going to divide it into two different parts. So I'll rename the first part as this much. So this one will be the first part and this one will be the second. That's the only difference. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, and I'm going to paste it here. And here there are certain things which I need to change. I think it looks okay now. Yep. And string part 2, I'm going to add this part. Yep. So that's basically it. I've divided them into two different parts. Now, what is the next thing that I'm going to do? I'm going to hard code this situation right now because I am not extracting the web elements before the loop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start something like this. I'm going to make a for loop and I'll start from 1. I know there are 11, so I'll use this I++. And instead of determining this in this particular fashion, I'll remove all these things. At least these 3 lines I'll remove. I've not come to the so let me first determine what I want to, how I want to use this particular parts to determine what I want to determine. So let's say, for example, I want to determine the name of the link. Okay, so I can simply go ahead and write driver dot find element by dot xpath. Here I will use this much. and I'll get the text. So if I use this much, okay, something is not right. Okay, dot get text. Yeah, this is fine. So this will return me the name of the link, or you can say the text of the link. And I can just go ahead and print this thing. Now, if you want to know, determine the attribute which, which helps you for the particular URL which it has. So okay, I'll directly go ahead and write it. Driver dot find element by dot xpath part 1 with I with part 2, and instead of get text, I'll do the get attribute and I'll get the href. It's a very simple concept. We have done this many number of times, and I'll just go ahead and do this much. So this is one part which I have done. Yep, it looks fine. So I've done the printing. Now with this particular method which is already there, I'll just do the validation. I'll close the gap. I'll do the validation. Validation is fine. I hope you have seen the prior videos, otherwise this will sound a little confusing. But this is what I'm trying to do here is I'm not extracting the web elements prior to this loop. I've just hard coded this for loop because I know in advance that there are 11 links. I will explain it to you in detail in a little bit from now. So just for the time being, this is the assertion which I have used in my previous videos. I'm just using the same assertion. I'm not doing anything else. The only difference which I will do right now is I'm going to use this particular click option, which will be different because there is. So I'm going to use driver dot find element by dot xpath. And I'm just gonna click it. So that's okay. The title of the page remains same. It again goes back to this particular page and it'll keep, but this one was the line which we used to do in the previous way to avoid stale element reference exception. I don't need this. I don't want this. I'm just going to use it like this. This code should absolutely work. There is no problem in this. But guys, please do remember the output that will show up right now. There is some kind of an error which is not visible, but it will be visible right now. Yeah, I don't know why Eclipse is misbehaving. So guys, right now I will execute this code. You will see there is a certain failure. Please keep a note of that failure. So I'm just waiting for Selenium to act its course. So technically this thing is working so far. So I'm just going to check on the output. What exactly is coming? As of now, all the links are showing up. Travel, future. I think it should work till culture, and after that, it will throw an error. Yes, it threw an error. See, the problem is after culture, these whatever BB links are after culture, uh, these are typically hidden. They are not interactable. Selenium can determine their absence, their presence, but they are not interactable. So it throws up an exception, element not interactable exception. So as of now, we do not know whether that element is present or not. So what I'm trying to suggest is I'm going to create a small utilitarian method which will actually say to my Selenium script that if you are not able to, you know, if you're not able to see that element, just ignore it and move on. Okay. So this error will not come. So typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a particular, like I had create a utilitarian method for the response code. Similarly, I will make to determine whether this thing is having, this element is present or not. Is the element present? So I'm going to use this by the element Xpath. I'll use Xpath to determine this. That's it. So this particular method of function will return me true if the element is present. It will return me false if the element is not present. Okay, so what will happen right now is this particular web element will have the link. First we'll determine the list of links. Driver dot find elements by dot, I will use the Xpath, and this is the Xpath which it will have. So this will return me what? A list of web element. So list of web element, let's say links is this. Now I want to determine the size. So links dot, I will determine the size. Okay, I can name let's say the total size is S, for example. I mean, just for reference sake, I can give it like that because I know the size will be a number. uh, for argument's sake, I believe that it is something different, but technically I know that it is 11, but still I'm just using it. Now here I will apply my condition. Okay, so here I'll apply if S equals to 0, then return me false. Okay, but if driver dot find element by dot Xpath, which will be the element Xpath, is displaying, and for some reason driver dot find element by dot Xpath is also enabled. I mean, this is something which you can choose not to write, but I'm writing in let's say I want both the conditions happening. Then return me true, else return me false. That's it. This thing works absolutely fine, no problem. Now the only change that you need to implement here is, because you are hard coding everything, this is not the best example to do it, but it'll still work. Since I'm hard coding everything, I'm moving on from the for loop into a while loop, and I will change this scenario into, I'll call that particular method is element present followed by part 1, part 2. So this is what I'm trying to call. Okay, so this is throwing an error because it doesn't know. You can give int I equals to 1 something. Yeah, that's fine. And there is one more thing that you need to do. You have to obviously do the iteration. Don't forget this because you're using a while loop. I mean, that's it. So in the previous output, when it was not able to recognize the hamburger, this thing, and it was trying to go and click on it, it was throwing an error, element not interactable exception. But right now, because of this method, what will happen is it will determine the fact that those elements they are, even though they are enabled, or they are displayed, technically the display part is something which Selenium is not able to determine. Manually we are able to. So Selenium will not be responsible for, you know, acknowledging automation of those particular links which are currently in hidden state or not in a not interactable state. So it will just bypass them. So typically what is visible will only come into picture. So let's go ahead and execute this code. I'm just waiting for the output. In the previous execution, what happened was after culture, when it tried to adhere to TV weather and sounds, it could not, and it gave an element not interactable exception. So now let's see after culture what happens. It just goes out. It doesn't even check them because it has checked as per the method, and it got to a conclusion that I have nothing to do. So it just came out. This is it. So no element interactable exception. You can move on with the code. So this literally ends our multiple object extraction series, which you can find literally in my playlists. You better go to playlists and you check. If you want to learn in Hindi, you can find it in this particular playlist. If you want to learn in English, you can find it here. If you want an easy access, uh, you know that you have to watch from this part 1 till the part 5 of the English video too. So people, those who are comfortable in Hindi, they can watch all the Hindi videos. The ones who are comfortable in English, they can watch all the English videos. So this concludes multiple object extraction. I think I have covered almost every aspect of it. Now coming back to this particular situation, this particular method, we will make it much better in the framework design part whenever I create. I don't know when, but whenever I get time to make that, then only you will get to know. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching the multiple object extraction series. I might be coming up with more informative videos very soon. Thank you so much for the love, and please subscribe to my channel and like and share for whatever you want. Thank you so much. Sathik here signing off.